Hello, everyone, and thank you for being a part of our webinar on maximizing the power of pain management. In the challenging world of pain management, understanding efficient workflows is the cornerstone to ensuring optimal patient care and seamless office operations. We're so honored to present our guest speaker for the day, Ms. Patricia Grant, nurse practitioner. With over 20 years of hands-on experience in pain management, Ms. Grant comes to us from the Jacksonville, North Carolina office of Integrated Pain Solutions. Throughout our session, she'll be shedding light on her journey, the trials she's faced, and the innovative methods she's employed to rise above those challenges. Following the discussion, our subject matter expert, Julia Young, will be diving into 20 actionable tips that are primed to amplify your productivity and establish effortless workflows. These techniques are guaranteed to elevate your pain management practice to newfound levels of efficiency. To ensure optimal listening experience for all participants, kindly mute your microphones. We'll also be setting aside time for dedicated Q&A segment after our presentation. Please also take a look at the case study with IPS in the handout section. I'm going to pass it off to Julia Young, our subject matter expert and host for the webinar today.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Again, our webinar today is on maximizing the power of pain management with effortless workflows. And our agenda for today is going to be an interview with our guest speaker, and then we're going to share 20 tips to maximize your productivity and create an effortless workflow. You're currently working at Integrated Pain Solutions. How long have you been working here?
I've been at Integrated Pain Solutions for about 1.5 years now.
Okay, and you're working in the Jacksonville office, is that correct?
I'm actually a traveler. I travel between Jacksonville and Wilmington.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about Integrated Pain Solutions.
Integrated Pain Solutions was established in 2012 with a spine surgeon. I'm sorry, he's an anesthesiologist, Dr. James Taylor, and an advanced practice nurse practitioner, Ms. Jerry Patterson. And they set up a multimodal integrated pain protocol. So our pain clinic shares multiple disciplines, including group therapy, psychiatric nurse practitioner with mental health counseling. We have 9 offices and significant number of providers that will have their special skills in other genres which contribute to the pain experience. I did a lot of injections and things when I was in Eastern Long Island, so I do some injections. We have an interventional pain doctor, Dr. Todd Ryder, who does fluoroscopic guided treatments, trigger points. He does them under, he does trigger points underneath fluoro, but he also does joint injections, peripheral nerve blocks, and medial branch nerve blocks, radiofrequency ablating, and epidurals, and he also does spinal cord stimulator trials.
Okay, very good. Interventional Pain Solutions has been very, very successful since they started and opened the doors in 2012. So what do you think contributes to the success of this company, and where do you see them going in the future?
Since I've been here, the company has grown significantly, and we've added a few more providers, and we're opening a new office in Beaufort, North Carolina. And I think the success is attributed to the management team and the visions of Jerry Patterson and Dr. Taylor. They wanted to do a community outreach where everything was evaluated and addressed, not just pills or pain itself. So the patient's well-being, their mental health, their social skills all contribute to success or failure depending on where the deficits are, and that's where we try to do our best to bring the best out to their best capacity and live a good life with good quality and good function.
I think that's excellent.
It is very wonderful. It's very wonderful. The program here is very wonderful.
Yeah. Right from the beginning, well, no, not right from the beginning. About a year after you guys went into business, right from the beginning, you guys were using paper. But then about a year after you guys went into business, you decided to get an EMR. What made you guys select Prognosis over other EMRs that were in the market?
It's my understanding that the Prognosis EMR was the best of everything. It was user-friendly. It covered all the needs that a pain clinic would need, a place where you could put a good history in, have their comorbid conditions listed in another space, and medications, alerts, diagnostic imaging, and easy to communicate between providers with an instant messenger type of a program.
Nice. What specific features of Prognosis do you personally use in your office that really make a difference for you?
We all use, and I use the toolbar. I can easily switch from one location of the toolbar to the other to look for certain things I'm looking for, what their medicines are, what their risk factors are. We have an alert box that tells us, pay attention to this. We can also see our PMP reports, and we can review our diagnostic testing just by clicking from one page to the next.
Very good. Do you, when it comes to documenting, there's several ways you can document in Prognosis. You can type in your answers, you can dictate, you can use the templates, you can use macros. Which way do you particularly use in your system that works for you?
I use the Dragon, so I dictate. I have a tendency to say a lot, so when the dictation comes out, it's right there. I can edit it or correct it and have the note done at the end of the appointment, which is tremendous in pain because you don't want to get behind. You don't want to miss any details. So I'm able to see my patient, document all the metrics that I need that required on the site, and then be able to spend the time with my patient, good time, and then be able to dictate the note in a minute.
Oh, very good. Do you ever use the draw tool feature when you're making your notes to mark places that you gave maybe injections or places of pain areas or anything?
Intermittently, I will do that if there's a lesion or a wound.
Yeah. Last year, they came out with the population health dashboard. Were you able to use that last year when you're reporting your MIPS program?
Yes, we use it every day. We use it every day. It's easy to use. It populates categories specific to what our population needs, and we're able to then identify them, document them, and then they will be preserved for the Medicare. And we also have that written in our assessment. So from one provider to the other, we can see what's been done and what changed.
Right. I know that you guys are using our revenue cycle management service instead of doing your own billing. Do you find that that's been beneficial for you? I mean,
the part of it that I do code my own visits. Other than that, it goes through the billing service, but the billing service needs us to code in order to do that. So that's very simple too.
Very good. Since you guys have achieved so much success in your company, in your business, what would you recommend for other providers looking for an EMR?
I would recommend something that's user-friendly, efficient, and has an intuitiveness about it that understands the specialty and will automatically populate depending on certain catchwords, which is what this computer system is pretty good at.
Very good. Describe the overall customer service with Prognosis. Have you had a good experience or?
Yes, I've had very good experience. Sometimes the computer, the server goes down in some of the offices, and I come in early often, and I can make a phone call and get service in minutes. And they open up a ticket, they fix my problems, and off I go for the day.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Is there anything that you would like our audience to take away from your interview? Anything you'd like to leave, a thought that you'd like to leave them with?
Well, I think the most important thing is efficiency with the time appropriated mostly to the patient, and to have a good electronic medical record that could facilitate that is invaluable.
thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you for sharing your thoughts with our audience today. We really appreciate you coming on today and taking the time to spend with us. So thank you so much for your interview.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for having me. Have a beautiful day.
You too. Our webinar is not over. We are going to go on and, oops, let me, little thing here. We're going to continue on, and we're going to share 20 tips of that we can use through our practice to help our workflow be more efficient. So I'm going to start with the home screen. Home screen is not a tip. I'm just going to start with the home screen because that is the first screen that you come to when you come into Prognosis. I wanted to start with this screen because, not because it's a tip, but I just wanted to tell you that you can customize your columns here. By having customized columns, each individual user can customize according to their needs. So if you have somebody that's doing, say, referrals, their needs are going to be different than somebody that's doing patient care. So by having customized columns, you can cut down on the time that you spend searching for things. You have the manage columns field here, where you can choose the columns that you would like to be. Now, this doesn't count as a tip. It's just I wanted to start here because that is the first screen that you see. So our first official tip is OCR Service. If you notice on the registration screen, we do have a card scanner button here. And if you have a card scanner, it'll scan your driver's license and put it in the picture. But if you couple that with the OCR Service, it not only scans your driver's license and puts it here, but it also fills in your address information as well. If you take it one step further and go to your billing screen, you do have the card scanner button here. And billing screen is going to take the information off the card and fill it in here, and also put the front and the back of the card information here. Then you could just simply click eligibility and go ahead and get your eligibility. But the next thing I put on my list was tip number 2 is automated eligibility. So if you set up your system to automatically run all of your eligibility the night before or early that morning, depending on if you have Medicaid could change overnight. So if you set it up to run automatically, then you're not having to go in and run eligibility for every single person. But just because you ran the eligibility does not mean that it is valid. So if you run the eligibility report for patients on schedule, this is a tabular report, you can see all your eligibility really quickly. And you could go down here under the status and mark the ones that say not fetched or invalid. That way, when the patients come in, you're only checking the ones that are invalid or didn't run. Right here, you do have there's going to be a button when it does run that lets you actually view that eligibility. And you can also make demographic updates, because there'll be another button here if it runs, to let you make demographic updates very quickly. This takes a lot of time. You're not going to have to run every single eligibility, but you can see really quickly which ones are invalid or didn't run. Tip number 3 is case management. So case management, everybody pretty much knows this one. If you enter the case information, all of this information is going to carry over to your billing automatically. It's going to override your regular health insurance. But the other thing you can do is you can run eligibility. You can run ledgers and statements, and you can pull medical records based on a case number. So with that being said, it's very quick to pull together files for an attorney or something like that based on the case number, because you can pull it by case management. The reoccurrence button. So on the schedule screen, if you're making an appointment, you have the appointment schedule and you have the reoccurrence button right here. Now the reoccurrence button, if you're making a set of appointments for a patient, maybe they are coming back every week for an injection, or they're coming once a month for an injection, you can make those appointments all at one time by coming over here to reoccurrence and then saying you want to do it either daily, weekly, or monthly. And then how many reoccurrences do you want to have? So if you wanted to come weekly on Mondays, for 6 Mondays, you could put it in Mondays, and it would run it every week on Monday. And it would give you the same time every week for 6 Mondays in a row. So that way you don't have to go in individually and write each one. Tip number 5 is to set up schedule flags. When you set up scheduler flags, you'll have 3 little dashes on front of your the patient's name on the schedule. You can really quickly see if the patient's appointment has been confirmed, if it's been verified, if you see a V that's been verified, and if you see a P, that means they've completed paperwork either on the portal or on the Pro Check-in when they come in. Just because it has a V here, the insurance has been verified, does not mean it is good insurance. So that's where your report is going to come in and show you really quickly if it's valid or not. So that would be 6. Automated appointment reminders. So interesting fact, Cheyenne.
According to Center's 2019 Digital Health Consumer Survey, 70% of patients are more inclined toward providers offering the ability to book, change, or cancel appointments and online reminders for follow-up care via text or email. This trend has only continued to grow with the proliferation of self-service kiosks and digital health apps. Back to Julia for more on this.
Okay, so automated text reminders and automated email reminders, most people already have these set up. Before we would do like an email reminder like a week in advance and a text reminder the day before. Now, just recently, they set it up to where you can do multiple text reminders and multiple email reminders. So if you're interested in setting up additional text reminders or additional email reminders on appointments, call tech support and they will help you with that. Pro Check-in. So Pro Check-in is a simple patient self-check-in. They can come up to the window, they can put in their first name, their last name, and their date of birth, click submit, and this will actually mark them arrived on the Prognosis schedule without the front desk having to do anything. Now, another thing that they can do when they're in Pro Check-in is they can fill out patient forms, any intake forms that you might have. They can sign consent forms. All of this can be done by the patient automatically. This will populate into Prognosis where it belongs, and this is going to save you time from having to scan in documents or do any kind of inputting, because all of this will automatically populate. Tip number 8, referral management. So a lot of times with pain management, they'll have other providers sending them in patients. They're not necessarily patients in your office, but so now you got to find out, can you take this patient? So you can pre-register the patient up here. You can put in any referral information. You can even attach documents. You can follow up with that referral and make comments and notate your comments in the system. You can add insurances, you can add case management, you can send out letters, you can make messages. And as long as it's pending, they are not a patient in your office. The minute that you say, okay, we can take this patient, you change this to approved, and all the information you've already collected automatically populates in the system. And then you can go ahead and hit the schedule button and put them on the schedule. The referral tracking is just how you're going to find your referral. So if you wanted to come back to referral tracking, look for your patient. You can look for pending referrals, accepted or rejected referrals, date range by the referral coordinator. Any of those different ways you can look up a referral, but it allows you to go ahead and take this information, put it in the system without actually being a patient, and then taking the information that you've already documented and saved and turning it into a patient once you get approved. Super easy. Tip number 9 is your face sheet. Most people are familiar with the face sheet. This one here just has 9 cells, but you can have up to 16 different cells. This face sheet is completely customizable. You can also have 9 different face sheets. So imagine that you have a face sheet with all your MDD information. MDD, all your medications, past medications, stop medications, procedures, or maybe you have a face sheet that has all your scores. Wouldn't this be better for you to have it quick and easy at your fingertips without having to dig through the chart to find it? Random drug screens. So Prognosis does random drug screens. It will notify you up at the top if the random drug screen is due. Up here is just a set of properties that we have to turn on, but you can even have this turn out in red so that it stands out to you so that you notice it. But you have to complete the ORT and you have to complete the risk assessment. And then based on the risk category, high, medium, or low, will determine how often that patient is pulled for a random drug screen. And they can, you don't have to do anything once you've set it up. It just pulls on the risk level, and it'll notify you when the patient needs to have a random drug screen done. Customizable workflows. Now this is a great feature because every encounter type might have different things that you want to do. So maybe in one particular encounter type you want to see a bunch of different screens, but in a different encounter type, maybe you don't need to see all those screens. So when you set up random customizable workflows, you get these little arrows down at the bottom, and they take you from screen to screen, only to the screens that you need to see, cutting out the time of searching for the next screen or going to, searching for the next screen or going from every screen to every screen. You'll only go to the ones that you need. And another thing about this one is when you click like this arrow to go to the next screen, it saves it. So you don't have to click save and the arrow. You can go straight and click the arrow, which is going to save you clicks and search time. So to set up a customizable workflow, you're going to go to settings, configuration, workflow, and then workflow definitions. I usually name my workflow the same as my encounter type. That way it's easy to match up. And then you'll hit this plus button and you're going to pick out all the screens that you want to see for when you do that particular encounter type. So now this one has allergies, vitals, specialty. So then I can click on that line and I can move it up or down in the order that I want to see them. So even though it's you have all the screens, you can put them in whatever order you want to see them as well. And then you go to your encounter type and you just associate that workflow to that encounter type and you're all set up. So next time you use that encounter type, that workflow is going to take you from screen to screen. Customizable templates. So most of you know that our templates are completely customizable. You can have whatever you want in the question or the answer or even the report sentence. To customize a template, you're going to click between the question and the answer, double click, and it'll open up. You can change the question, you can change the answer, you can change the report sentence. Another thing is that if you set your, this is procedure templates, but if you set your procedure templates to default to the main setting, the main option, then all you have to do is click the top button and it clicks them all off like you've done it, and only change the ones that change, the variables. So that's another quick way to work your templates, is just preset them to the normal settings, the most common settings, and then go ahead and click here, and then it'll check them all off like you've answered them. But then if you needed to change one or whatever, you can come over and change one. Now, a lot of my pain management doctors like to pre-write their notes. So you can do it that way. You can go ahead and pre-write your whole entire note. And then the areas that are changeable, let's say that the level was changeable, we could come in here and we could add the tag for that particular level and just have the tag, but the whole note would already be written. So instead of having a template that looks like this with a lot of different questions on it, you might only have 3 questions because everything else is pre-defined here, and you only have 3 questions that are going to be changing. So that's another way to speed up your documentation. Auto copy options. Now there's a couple different ways to do auto copy. You can go to settings, configuration, users, and specialty, and you can preset your settings here to auto copy everything every time. But the problem that I see with this is that when you set it to auto copy, it always auto copies the last visit, which is okay if they're coming in the next visit for the same thing they came in the last time. But if they're treating two different problem areas, you may not want the neck information to be in the low back information, that kind of thing. So I prefer to use the copy button. Okay, the copy button is on each section. There's a copy button up here. It copies forward from, you can choose which visit you want it to copy forward from. So then you can copy forward your information. When it's copied forward, it shows up in yellow, and anything you change shows up in gray. So this is a great feature, but what I think is best is they came out with this new button here. It's called copy from last visit or past visit. Not last visit, but past visit. It's a new button. There is a property to turn that on if you don't see it in your documents. But the nice thing about this one is you can see all your visits. You can click on that visit. You can actually read the visit note. And as you're reading the visit note, you can say, I want to copy HPI. I want to copy review of systems, physical, whichever areas you want to copy. And you can just select it here and copy it over from your note. You can actually see the note and copy over which sections you want. So I think that this is a great feature. And then even if you copied it over, you could turn on the override and you can edit that one section. So you can override some of the notes that's there. So that's really a cool feature. It is a property that has to be turned on. So if you don't see that button on your database, call tech support and let them turn it on for you. Let me see something. I think I wrote it down. It's enable.copy from .last visit. That's the property if you need to turn it on. Tip number 14 is the order sheet. I love the order sheet because the order sheet, you can order labs, radiology, consults, procedures, and your prescriptions all from one place. Instead of going individually to each little section, you can do it all from one area. Makes it very quick and easy to send out your orders. Tip number 15, checklist. So if you're ordering procedures, you can have a checklist. And this is something that you have to build, but I thought I would put a sample in here. The top portion of this checklist is what diagnosis, size brace, side, all of the information that I need to get my authorization. So anything that the authorization girl is going to be looking at can be in this top section. The next section is when she does her authorization, she can put all the details back into it and have it carry over to the order. So that's another great feature. And then over here, you can put the patient responsibility, insurance information, that kind of thing. So it's a great source if you want to put in a checklist. That way you can make sure everything is done before you go into trying to do your procedure. Pre-authorization tracking. So since we're talking about procedures, let's talk about pre-authorizations. You can turn on pre-authorization tracking and set it to certain encounter types. And when you use those encounter types and you order anything, it's going to automatically create you a pre-authorization over here. So all your orders would come over here that need to be authorized. And then the authorization person can look at it and they can say, okay, we need to send an authorization. They can attach the authorization letter. All the details will come over. They can attach medical records and then send their authorization. When they get the authorization back, they can go ahead to the insurance screen and put in the authorization number, attach the response to it. All of this ties back to your order. And so when she completes this here, it's actually going back onto your order screen. So you'll know when you get ready to do your procedure that everything has been taken care of. PMP. So we have another interesting fact.
According to a study published in Health Affairs, states that have implemented prescription drug monitoring programs saw a decrease in prescription drug overdoses. In some states, opioid prescriptions have decreased by more than 10% after the implementation of a PMP. Back to you, Julia.
Okay, so one of the great things about Prognosis is that you can interface your PMP into your current medication section. So usually you'll see the pharmacy and you'll see the PMB, but you can also interface the PMP in here, and then you can pull that information right from here, as opposed to going to another system and trying to look it up and then come back to Prognosis. You can do it all within Prognosis. EPA. So EPA, a lot of times in pain management, some of the prescriptions, because they are controlled substances, require an authorization. So this is electronic prescription authorization. So if you do the eligibility button here, it's going to give you your formulary, your copay, and any information. It'll also tell you if it needs an authorization. You can click on the prior authorization button. You can fill out this little questionnaire. When you send your prescription, it also sends the authorization request. So you can follow that up by going to messages and e-prior auth, and you can see any prior auths that you have out there. You can check the status. If there's anything to complete, you can complete it from there, and it takes care of it almost immediately, because it is sending it to the insurance company at the same time as it is sending the prescription. So it's a quicker way to get a response for your authorizations. CPOE lab and lab review. So I love this screen because this screen allows you to review all your labs or all your radiology all at one time. So you can go to CPOE lab review or lab radiology review, and you'll see the list of labs that need reviewed. You can review them in the window. You can mark them as reviewed, make any review comments. You can assign a task to somebody to do something. You can send a message to the patient. You can even create a new lab order from here. So it's a great place to do. If you come up here, you see the lab and the radiology bubbles up here. If you click on those bubbles, it'll tell you how many labs you have to do. If you click on those bubbles, it's going to bring you to the screen, or you can go to lab and radiology review. Integrated billing. So by having your billing integrated into the system, as soon as you close your encounter, your bill is automatically ready to send. So you'll see it ready to send. You can click on it. You'll see that your ICD codes and your CPT codes automatically will come over. So it increases your revenue with very little effort. So it's a great feature to have. And then I want to give you one bonus tip. The bonus tip is that dashboards, always know the performance of your clinic by looking at your dashboards. These dashboards are completely customizable. You can change out any one of these reports using this gear right here. You can add any reports that you want. You can have up to 10 dashboards between EMR and billing. So it doesn't matter how you split them, but you can drop this down. You can have other dashboards. You can filter it out and just do by location or by provider, by date range, however you want. But it's a great way to keep up with the performance of your company and where you're at the moment. And then I also wanted to tell you about the Prognosis user group. In the Prognosis user group, if you haven't joined already, please do. There's a QR code here that you can scan to get to the user group. But the Prognosis user group is a great source for people to join and connect, ask questions, and other Prognosis users can help answer those questions. I try to put some tips out there every week. I try to put anything coming out new so that you can be on top of things. So this is a great place to go if you need help or if you have questions, and other Prognosis people can help you answer those questions. And then now I'm going to open it up for questions now. So Cheyenne, back to you.
Yes, we're going to open up for the Q&A session. Please submit any questions or any suggestions you have if you haven't done so already. We're going to start with the first question. So where do we find the eligibility report?
Okay, the eligibility report is a tabular report. So you're going to go to Reports, Tabular. You want to check all reports and then go over to the search field and search eligibility for patients on schedule.
Awesome. And the next question is, are there going to be any examples of Patricia's workflows in Prognosis, or is this just a verbal presentation?
No, there's not any examples of her workflow, but we are going to have her presentation, her video out there to where we can share it with you.
And there's also a case study on IPS in general and how they utilized Prognosis to help them with efficiency in their workplace. So the next,
yes,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
And that is attached to today's presentation. So if you want to download it, you can.
Perfect. And then the next question is, where is the referral tracking located?
Referral tracking is under patient at the top, the patient, and then referral tracking. If you don't see it, it's a property that just has to be turned on. So if you go to admin and properties and in the search field, type referral, and then it says, do you want to add referrals? Yes, no. So say yes, and then you'll have those two fields there.
Awesome. And the next question is, how do I make the ICD-9s to stop showing every time I select ICD for my procedures?
Oh, right now it does show that it shows the ICD-9s and ICD-10s. That's a system thing. They have to correct that. So right now the ICD-9s still show, but you do have the ICD-10s. So just use the ICD-10s. There's no way to take it off. Yeah.
And the next question is, how do we set up for patients to do self-check-in? Are you recommending kiosk?
Yeah, so usually they do one of two things. They have either a tablet where they can come up to the front desk and just sign in on the tablet, or they have a kiosk. So either way would work.
Okay, and someone is asking if they can get a copy of the webinar so we're able to revert back and review with our board.
Yes.
So yeah, those should go out in a couple days after the webinar with the slides and the recording. The next question is, can referrals be added to patient charts after the chart has been created, or must they be entered into referral management module before creating the patient chart?
The incoming referrals or the outgoing referrals, like referral authorizations or?
Incoming referrals.
So no, so incoming referrals are patients that are not currently your patients. So there'll be patients that are coming in from an outside source, and then you're going to put them in the referral management area. And as you are documenting, you can document, you can do whatever on those. You can add their insurance and call in the insurance company, make your comments. As soon as you turn it to approved at the bottom, they become a patient at that point. So you don't have to re-register them or anything like that. They become a patient once you hit the approve button. Did I answer the question right?
Christopher, just let us know if that answers your question. And then the next question is, how do we find or enable prior authorizations feature?
The prior authorization feature is it's already in the system, but it's a property. So you can call tech support and have them turn on your property for you. But what you have to do is you turn on the property for prior authorizations. And then after you turn that on, you have to go to your encounter types, and there'll be a box there that says referrals. So if you check that particular encounter type as something that might need a referral, when you order from that particular encounter type, then when you order, that referral automatically gets created. So yeah, just call tech support and have them turn on their properties for your referral, and then go into case management and not case management, encounter types, and check that box for referrals. And then anytime you use any make any kind of order from that encounter type, it'll automatically create that referral for you.
Awesome. And someone asked, can EPA be done after an encounter is closed?
No, you can do it after the encounter is closed, but you need to click on that button and start it. You can always go back up to the messages and prior auth and finish it later. You don't have to do the whole questionnaire, but just click on the button and start that EPA, and then you can do the questionnaire later.
Amazing. And can we customize the tabs in Encounter?
I'm not sure what you mean by customize the tabs in Encounter. Are you talking about the table of contents, or?
So they expanded and said, for example, the orders of the tabs such as vitals, HPI, ROS.
Yes, you can put them in whatever order you want to. If you go to Encounter and then encounter types on settings configuration, clinic encounter types, and then you go down to where it says TOC, you'll have all the options for TOC menu in there, and you can put them by encounter type in the orders that you want them to be in.
And is there a way to create an order on the fly for something like a wheelchair that's not being dispensed in-house?
I'm trying to think. Let me look into that, because I have to think about orders. I'm pretty sure you can do CPOE in order. Like if you're doing, if you're ordering a wheelchair, you probably are doing it through prescription, or maybe you're doing it through DME. I don't know. Leave your information in the box, and I'll get back to you on that, because I'll check it out for you.
Okay, and then the next question is, how is process status used? What are the settings for this?
Okay, it's a property to set up process status, and then you have to go to manage columns to make sure that your process status is in the column. Okay, and then what happens is, if the provider is going in to order something but does not complete the order, like maybe the provider goes into the order sheet and he puts the order in and saves it, but he doesn't actually send it yet because he wants the nurse to go back and take care of the orders for him. He just puts in what he wants. Then that's when it shows up in process status. So it could be process L for labs, process R for radiology, D for drugs, C for consults, and P for prescriptions. No, P for procedures. So you'll see the process P or process C or whatever, because he put the order in, but he didn't complete the order. So you'll see that on the home page, and then you'll know that that patient has an order sitting out there that needs to be finished. But it's a property that you can turn on. So if you need help with that, go ahead and call tech support and let them help you.
Amazing. And we'll just take a few more questions. I've never seen the reoccurrence button on the appointment schedule screen. Does something need to be turned on?
Okay, so to get the recurrence button, when you first schedule an appointment, that recurrence button is not there. Okay, so to get that turned on or to use that recurrence button, you just have to make an appointment, schedule it, and then get out of there, click back into it, and then that recurrence button will be there.
And last question, how do we know if we have Pro Check-in?
If you have Prognosis, if you have Patient Portal, you have Pro Check-in automatically. But to get your link for Pro Check-in, go up to your I button on the home screen and go look for Pro Check-in, and there'll be a URL link in there. You just click on the URL link and you'll be able to get into Pro Check-in. Now remember that Pro Check-in is a patient feature. So if you wanted to get in, you have to log in using a first name, last name, and date of birth of a patient that is on the schedule. So in order to get in there, the patient must be on the schedule, and you have to put in their first name, last name, and date of birth.
Amazing. We hope that you all found this webinar informative and valuable. We understand that not all questions may have been addressed during this Q&A session, so feel free to reach out to us via email and we're happy to answer any further questions that you may have. Thank you for tuning into our webinar today, and thank you to our amazing host, Julia, and guest speaker, Ms. Patricia Grant. Remember to check out the case study in the handout section when you have a moment. And we hope you all have a great rest of your day.